Mic and speakers, you want to be on telephone.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, Web Events Made Easy. Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an organizer and may now speak to any other organizers or panelists on the line. When you are ready to begin the presentation, press star 1 to allow all attendees to hear you. This system will notify you once you begin your broadcast. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Morning, folks. We're waiting on a few more people to come into the webinar room, so just bear with us. But while we're waiting for that, can you give me an AV check? Can you see my screen and hear my voice? If you can, find the questions tool and go to webinar and type in there. I'm going to be using the questions tool a lot, so you want to find that now. Howdy, folks. Just another couple of minutes. We've got a big audience coming this morning, and so we've still got people flowing into the webinar room. Just bear with us for another minute. All right, folks, we're going to get started. This is Ken Shaw here. I'm CEO of SOS. I've got quite a team of people here with me. I've got Derek Wood, SOS's product manager, who you probably all know, Shaylin Herrick, our director of marketing, Stephen Gold, our director of business development, and Chris Raddick. Chris, what's your title?
Marketing analyst.
There you go, marketing analyst. So we've got 42 companies in the webinar room this morning. Most of you all have found the questions tool, which is terrific because we like to keep these things as interactive as possible. Structure of today's webinar is going to be roughly a 15-minute presentation, but those of you who've done webinars with me before know that I usually go a bit over on such things. Then a product demo for Collaborate, and then Q&A, and that Q&A will usually last 15 to 20 minutes, but frankly it's really going to last as long as we've got an active discussion going. The iPad giveaway, the details of that will be announced as always at the end of the webinar, so you've got to keep alert for when we actually announce those details. Alrighty, let's dive in. So some of you may already know quite a bit about Collaborate. Some of you may not. So for those of you who already know a little bit about it, then these first few slides are more by way of background. I'll go through them relatively quickly. Just to get a sense, can everybody type in whether you're in the partner beta group and know about Collaborate, or not in the partner beta group and have no idea what I'm talking about? Just so I can get a sense of knowledge level in the audience. I can see my friends Jerry Warner and Mike Wood. Jerry and Mike, thanks for your help on the partner beta group. You guys have been tremendous. I can see Russ Allen as well. G'day, Russ. Okay, so we've got a bit of a mixed bag. All right. Clayton Reeves, another terrific member of the partner beta group. Okay, terrific. So what is Collaborate? Well, it's an intransitive verb, which I learned by reading this wonderful webinar deck that was put together by our team. But Collaborate is the internal working name for a product that we're launching, which is similar to Dropbox, similar to Box.net, but really sort of not directly similar to either of them. I think of it as file server as a service. So we've always sold backup as a service, and so you know, we've seen this SaaS movement where infrastructure software all around the world is getting moved to the cloud. We've always done backup as a service, and with Collaborate, it's more of a file server as a service, document management server as a service, FTP server as a service, just to put it in its simplest terms. What's it really good at? Well, it's good at cloud storage, it's good at replacing a file server, it's good at document management, but as its name suggests, it's mainly good at collaborating with others, sharing stuff, working on content. And so later on in the presentation, we're going to have a look at how it differs from a use case perspective from backup itself, and then of course, when we look at the product, when we do the product demo, we're going to see how, from a technological perspective, it's quite different. So Collaborate is made up of 3 different applications. So throughout the beta and when the product goes live, we're going to be talking about 3 different components of Collaborate: the desktop app, the web app, and the mobile apps. Little note on the mobile apps. Right now, they're just available as HTML5 apps that you can run on your iPhone or your Android. When we go live, they will be in the stores. But if you go and search in Google Play or in the App Store for Collaborate, you're going to come up dry. So for the moment, you get to the mobile apps through the web portal, and we'll see that later. The desktop app is most akin to Dropbox. You run something on your computer, you drop stuff in folders, they magically get to the cloud. It's a little more powerful than Dropbox in that you can have as many of these sync relationships as you'd like. So the way I use the desktop app myself is I use it to keep my work PC in sync with my 2 laptops. So they're all syncing between each other. So it's device-to-device sync, it's bilateral sync, as well as syncing to the cloud, and then of course getting the access to all that stuff via my mobile apps. The web app is really what drives the application. When I think of Collaborate, I think primarily of the web app mostly, because that's where most of the enterprise functionality exists. It's where the administrative controls exist. It's the beginning of a user's experience with the product, and it's where a lot of the power exists. So putting it in the simplest terms, my mother would love the desktop app because of its simplicity, but my father would love the web app because of the power it's got in it. So putting that in the terms of your customers, some of your consumers are going to like the desktop app because of its Dropbox-style simplicity, but most of your business customers are going to want to use all 3 in concert, with the web app being sort of the primary focus. So why is SOS getting into this product space, and why now? we see it as a natural extension of the four sort of pillars of our product architectural sort of framework. We've always set out to help users protect data, access data, share data, and manage data. We're better at some of these things than others. We're very, very good at protecting data, as an example. Our share functionality in our backup product is not as good as it could be. The access functionality in our backup product is fine for a backup product, and the management functionality is pretty great. Collaborate has a slightly different emphasis, whereas backup is primarily about the protect and manage vectors, and the share and access are nice elements. The Collaborate product inverts that. It's primarily about sharing and access, and along the way it does protect your data, and along the way it helps you manage your data. So the same four fundamental principles are being pursued, but with slightly different emphasis. And we're going to see later that Collaborate is a sister product to Backup. It sits alongside the Backup stack, and the two products work nicely together. Jerry's asking, do you see this as a separate product with its own fees or as an added service to Backup customers? Jerry, we're going to talk about that in a few slides' time. The short answer is it's a separate product which appeals to different people and has different use cases. So if we have a look at the cloud storage landscape, and I use that phrase extremely loosely, you can break it into a few different buckets. So on the far left of this diagram, we've got simple storage, just sort of the equivalent of buying a hard disk drive, but they're in the cloud. Not particularly useful to your average consumer, not particularly useful to your average MSP or most of the people on the line. Like S3 is great, but without all the middleware you need to pump data to it, encrypt that data, compress that data, index that data, get that data back, restore that data, it's not all that useful. On the far right hand of things, you've got managed backup and recovery services like SOS, Carbonite, Mozy, Backblaze. So we've all specialized in not only building our own clouds on the back end, but all of the middleware technology you need to be able to back up an Android, back up a Windows server, do the compression, the encryption, the version management, and all the other things that you know from SOS. In the middle, we've got these two columns, sync and collaboration, which is one of the sort of hottest spaces in cloud storage at the moment, and certainly one with the fastest growth. By way of reference, the online backup industry this year is about $1.5 billion annually in annual spend. There isn't good data on the economic size of the sync and collaboration market. There have been some eye-popping valuations in the space. You know, Dropbox was valued at $4 billion on $40 million in revenue. So there's the middle space is getting a lot of noise. It's white hot, but there's one fundamental thing lacking, and that is that there's no product in the sync, share, and collaboration space that is channel friendly. So Box.net and Dropbox have done a wonderful job at building their own businesses, but they've pretty much left all of you out in the cold. SOS is a company dedicated to our partner channel, is setting out to try and fix that. We're not going to nail it right out of the gate, so bear with us a little bit. But the whole purpose of Collaborate is to come to market with a channel-friendly, rebrandable, powerful product that you can take to your customer base and earn very good margin on. So we typically try and make our partners 50% gross margin, and that's our goal here as well. So for those of you who've been asking questions in the forums about whether or not we care about our partners, the whole genesis of the Collaborate project has been to bring a channel-friendly product to market for our partners. All right, so forging on a little bit further. I already sell my customers online backup. Would selling Collaborate cannibalize my online backup business? This sort of touches on Jerry's question as well. Short answer is no. Long answer is complicated. And there are a lot of different vectors to it. So first and foremost, different use cases. Backup's about protecting everything and keeping it safe. And generally speaking, only a few people interact with the backup system. Collaborate's the opposite of that. It's good when everybody uses it. So I often use this office here in LA as an example. SOS headquarters here in LA has got 35 staff in it. We've got one IT guy. Typically, if one of the SOS partners came to this building and sold us backup, they would sell an account to the IT guy, and only the IT guy would use it. But if you're a partner and you came to this office and sold Collaborate, you would sell 35 seats here, right? And that's a key sort of mind shift in the way we sell this tool. And if you look at the little network marketing diagram in the bottom right-hand corner, that iconography is just meant to highlight the fact that whereas backup is a very closed-off system, it's set and forget, and the sharing functionality is there, but a lot of IT guys don't like the idea of sharing out of a backup system. Collaborate's the opposite. There's viral marketing built into the system by the nature of the product that it is. It's useful when you share stuff, and when you share stuff, other people need accounts. You can get accounts for free. So one user begets 3 users, 3 users begets 30 users, 30 users begets 300 users, and on and on and on. We've got some other questions here. I'm going to try and leave most of the questions to the Q&A at the end. But at this point, I've got some polls that I'm going to pop up. This is the data gathering portion of the webinar, so just give me 30 seconds of your time. The first question I'm going to ask is, I'm going to explain it first. The question's going to be, how many humans do you have in your downstream? And this is what I mean by that. How many customers do you have? Let's say 100 to make the math easy. How many employees at each company? Let's say 10 to make the math easy. Then you would have 1,000 users in your downstream, 100 companies, 10 employees per. Make sense? Okay, so here's the poll. So this is not how many customers you have, nor is it how many employees they have. It's you got to multiply the two. So right now we're tied up. Lots of you are saying 200 plus humans in your downstream. That's great. 200 plus in your downstream seems to be winning. 100 to 200, 200 plus. Only half of you have voted though, so I'm going to keep this up until you've all voted. I don't know if you all can see the result, but right now a quarter of you are saying between 50 and 100 humans, 44% of you are saying 200 plus humans, 70% of you have voted. Come on, a few more votes. We'll cut it off when we get to 80%. Right now, 200 plus humans is winning with 44% of the vote. 100 to 200 humans has got 14% of the vote. 50 to 100 humans has got 22% of the vote. 73% of you have voted.
It's just practice for November, right? We're in election season. Let's get some of the polls up there.
So it's actually the bulk of you has got 200 plus.
All right. So let's finish that poll. And so now, how do you deploy backup? So you're all in the backup business. This poll is, when you sell backup, do you do one account to one business? So in the previous scenario with 100 businesses, you do 100 accounts. Do you do one account per human? So in the previous scenario, you do 1,000 accounts. Or do you do one account, multiple businesses? So in the previous scenario, you could do 20 accounts to do 100 businesses. All right, I'm going to call this one closed. 88% of you, one account, one business. And then my last poll, forgive me for this. What percentage of humans in your downstream deal with the backup? So you all said pretty much one account, one business. So I'm thinking that there's probably just one guy at each, you know, the system administrator or the backup nerd, and I proudly call myself a backup nerd. So what percentage of humans? If the last poll was anything to go by, most of you are going to pick 5 to 10% of humans. %53 have voted. 60% have voted. 63, 65. All right. CNN is ready to call it. You're all in the 5 to 10% range. So I want to pause there and just recap. What you all said is, the majority of you said you had 200 humans in your downstream. The majority of you said you used one account, one business. And the majority of you said 5 to 10% of the humans in your downstream are aware of the backup product. Now let's pause and think about Collaborate, where the distribution model is 100% penetration. If there are 1,000 people in your downstream, 1,000 accounts get distributed. If there are most of you said 200 plus humans in your downstream. The goal of Collaborate is to give every single one of them an account, because the power of this product comes from the number of people using it. So this little exercise we went through, valuable for us, but mainly done to demonstrate to you guys the sort of the different mindset we have when it comes to Collaborate. Every single person in your downstream should be using this product, and this product is going to improve their professional life and their productivity. Very different from backup. And so I've got a couple of slides here on some of the more esoteric differences between backup and Collaborate, but that exercise, I think, made the point better than these slides could have. But you know what, I'm going to go to the graphic. So on the left, we've got Collaborate. On the right, we've got Online Backup. Online Backup is about all of your data, maybe a terabyte. The primary copy stays locally. You write it to the cloud constantly as stuff is changing. You've got all these different versions in the cloud, which, frankly, you don't want anybody to access. You don't want SOS to access. You don't want to access it. You want this hermetically sealed so that if there's a nuclear holocaust, your data is still safe. I'm a little bit facetious, but that is the vibe of backup. Whereas if we go across to Collaboration, it's the complete opposite. We're dealing with a little bit of data, not that much. The primary copy moves from local to the cloud and now lives in the cloud. Sure, there are versions, and you know we keep the unlimited version history and all that other good stuff you know and like. But look at this. We've got user 1, 2, 3. This user's got read-write permissions. The idea of giving write permissions to a backup repository is just alien. That's the opposite of what you want. You never want anybody messing with the integrity of a backup chain or an archive chain. But in Collaborate land, that's exactly what we want, because it's a tool for sharing and for collaborating, hence the internal name. I think we've gone through most of this. Key usage concept. In backup land, it's data. In Collaborate land, it's number of users. Encryption, versioning, recoverability, security, access controls, in-cloud editing, audit trails, all of this is shared across both technology stacks. They're both very, very important. What's the business need we're solving for? With backup, it's disaster recovery and business continuity. With Collaboration, it's day-to-day sharing and working. We here in the company use it constantly between the group. We don't use USB keys anymore. We don't use a network drive. We don't send large attachments via email. We use Collaborate. I'm going to show you how that works in a minute. So to answer further Jerry's question about how do the products live together, we view it like this, where SOS Online Backup will remain an industry-leading cloud backup solution, and this is only getting better and better and better. And stay tuned this week for some very exciting updates from Cheryl and Derek with a whole lot of new technology that's shipping this week based upon feedback from the partner beta group, which is really exciting. But Collaborate kicks in at the beginning of the data cycle, from when a document is born through to when a document is ready to be backed up and archived. Collaborate's there to help your users create content, access content, share content, sync content. It helps both me as an individual, for me to get my stuff on all my devices, which is kind of the Dropbox vibe. But at the same time, it also helps me as a professional share all my stuff with large groups of people, which is similar to Huddle or Box.net. And it does both. So how does it stack up against those two very large names in the space? This is a qualitative graphic. So this is our interpretation of the functional set of Collaborate. No doubt there's room for difference of opinion about where we are. But we think we're stronger on security than both Box and Dropbox. And there's even going to be a private cloud option, so you can sell this to your customers where they run it all on their own infrastructure end-to-end, which is frankly the most secure deployment model. Oh, that's this line here, private cloud deployable. They just don't option that. Unlimited version capability, same as Box, better than Dropbox. Multi-device sync. Enterprise-grade reporting tools, very powerful reporting built in, leagues ahead of Dropbox, roughly on par with Box. Enterprise configuration and management tools for things like LDAP integration, so you can hook it directly into an Active Directory server for large enterprise deployments. No more need to create 700 usernames. In-cloud document editing, Dropbox doesn't have it at all. Box.net does a fair job. Large file sharing. So, you know, I think all three services are pretty much on par here. And then a very robust in-browser preview system. So we're going to see this, but in the browser, I can click into an AutoCAD file and view it. I don't have AutoCAD installed on my computer, but I can view it. Same with Photoshop and a lot of other very sort of complex file types. So quite a rich functional set. This deck's going to be shared in the Partner Beta Group forum, so I'm not going to go through all these features, but you'll see that there are different sort of stratas of user with very different permission sets. The admin user has a very, very robust set of functionality. And I'll say this, the Collaborate product is being born with more administrative functionality in it on launch than the SOS Backup product has had up until a few months ago. So it's being born on with sort of functional parity. We've learned a lot of lessons over the years in our online backup work. And the Collaborate product's launching with a full administrative feature stack and also a very rich usage model. So I'm not going to go in detail here, but this is just to give you a sense of the different levels of user. One example for all of you who are on the partner beta group is the second most popular feature is sub-accounts and company support. So set up a company, Acme, give me 100 terabytes of storage, let me cut it up however I like. Collaborate's got that built in from day one, whereas we're only launching that in the backup product in the next few weeks, Derek.
Yeah.
Yeah. So more on that to follow. So, all right. At this point, we're going to go over to the browser and we're going to start to do some demo, and we're going to see how the partner beta group works. So we've had a bunch of people who have joined the webinar a little bit late. I'm going to pause here and take questions. So what questions do any of you all have so far on anything you've seen, or perhaps for those of you who missed the front end of the webinar? And Derek, do you want to just field some of these questions while I get set up?
Sure.
I think we can start at the top there with Darren. Darren says, I'm assuming Microsoft is SharePoint. I think you're referring to a few slides back. No sign of the bigger players, Documentum, Alfresco.
I'll take that one. If Collaborate works, Darren, it's the death of Documentum. So Documentum represents an old school enterprise approach to document management software that costs companies tens of thousands of dollars to deploy for a bunch of functionality that they often don't use. So that's a fairly aggressive statement. Oh, you agree? Fantastic. A lot of people wouldn't agree with what I just said. But our, whereas with SOS Online Backup, we set out to kill tape, and that remains one of our core missions. Our attitude to the enterprise document management solutions is the same.
I got one from Jerry. Hey, Jerry. Question is, will the partners' customers be able to create sub-accounts on their own? So what we've delivered to you is exactly what you would deliver to your businesses. So the level of administration that we're going to be showing today is the level of administration that you would have.
So short answer is yes. You would give your customer a company admin account.
Another question from Bruce. If we have a SOS Backup account, is the same space usable for Collaborate accounts, or is it necessary to purchase a new space?
We're still working out pricing at the moment, including the way you'll be able to potentially use backup credits for Collaborate. But for the moment, they're different systems and different allowances.
Like Jonathan. Jonathan says, good job, guys. SharePoint is crap. Just saying.
SharePoint was amazing in 2001 when it was launched, but feature bloat has killed it.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to launch Collaborate into that lightweight space that SharePoint slotted into when it was first launched.
I've got a good question from Buddy. Can you give some detail on HIPAA compliance? How do you share data security?
Yeah, in the beta, Collaborate is not HIPAA compliant, so that's an important point. It will be at launch, but throughout the beta, it's not HIPAA compliant. All right, let's get back to business. On screen is the partner beta group forums. How many of you all have got this? I know that Russ Allen and Jerry Warner and Mike Wood are in the partner beta group. These forums here on screen, is this new to most people? Clayton's in, absolutely Clayton. All right, this is really, really, really important for a few reasons. Firstly, there's some really great stuff in here, which is not the topic of today's webinar, but I'm going to take 2 minutes to show it to you because it's so important. Secondly, the way you get into the Collaborate beta. Partner beta group's a new thing we did to crowdsource our product roadmap. We believe here at the company that we're one of the only companies in the world doing it. We believe it's actually kind of cutting edge and maybe even newsworthy of what we're doing. So why am I making such grand claims? We're publishing our product roadmap to partners, open to comment. But far more powerful is that you'll see here backup feature requests and ideas, Collaborate feature requests and ideas. Within backup, there are 52 tickets. If we go in here, they're sorted by your votes. Now, in the next few days, I don't want to give anything away, but in the next few days, you're going to get an announcement, and a bunch of these are going to go to done, and we're going to get a whole bunch of product delivered in backup land that you've been requesting in here. I don't know of any other company where you can request a feature and then have it built. It's like custom software development from a product vendor. And just to sort of ram this point home, when the beta first launched, Jason Thayer, and I don't know if Jason's on the line today, which is a shame. Anyway, Jason Thayer posted an idea, which was that, hey, we should be able to see our enterprise storage allotment as well as our individual account allotment on the home screen of Collaborate. We pushed it live 12 minutes after he suggested it, and we marked it done. Now with Collaborate, because it is in beta, we'll be doing that sort of thing. And you can see already that we've knocked off 4 of the requests that were put in into the feature request section. So you've got to find this section, you've got to review what's there, you've got to vote on the features, because we will build the features that you vote for. So that's I'm going to stop pimping the partner beta group now, and let's focus more on Collaborate. So this section here on the middle right, Collaborate beta news and announcements. This is where the official stuff from the company will be vis-a-vis Collaborate. Down the bottom here, Collaborate feature requests and ideas. This is your section. So 11 of you have already posted in here. So this is where you can start any thread you like. Same up here in the forums. But if we go into the beta news and announcements, and if we look at, there are 3 articles I want to draw your attention to. The first one is the Collaborate Beta 101. Every important update or every major addition is going to be added to this article. This morning, actually, my buddy Jerry and I were going back and forth this morning on branding, and so I updated the post to answer the question for the rest of you, because not everybody's as actively engaged in the question, in the discussion dialogue. But this Collaborate 101 has all of the key information that you really need for the beta and will continue to grow. Most importantly, this is where you can actually get started. So number 7 here, how do I get started? This takes you to the Collaborate beta sign-up form, which I'm imagining most of you are going to want to do after this. Now, second, 2 other things that I want to draw your attention to in here. The first is the bug reporting. So how do I report bugs? There's a bug report form. Bug report form is very simple. Pick the type of problem it is. Pick which of the 3 apps it correlates to. Describe it. Give us as much information as possible. Categorize it as an annoyance all the way up to showstopper. All right. And then the third thing I want to draw your attention to is, and again, read the 101. I know a lot of us like to blow through the instructions, but we've still got some usability issues in the product, so you're really going to save yourself some time if you read the 101. But there's also a product walkthrough. The product walkthrough, little table of contents, this is a script that you can walk through from top to bottom. If you do this, not only will you have hit all the functionality areas that we're asking you to test, but you will have really learned the product. So, and here's a screenshot of my Collaborate instance running, so you can sort of see what it looks like when it's fully loaded. But this script, although a little bit wordy, will really educate you on the product. Jerry writes, half of the test is doing things differently than you do. Jerry, not quite sure what you mean. I think you mean, yeah, testing out the alternate pathways to get things done. All right, with all of that preamble, let's actually go and have a look at the product. So once you've signed up for Collaborate, you'll get a screen that looks like this. And so this is sort of the empty product screen of the web app. And, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's saying you don't have any content in this thing. Let's upload some files. Flipping over here to admin home. And notice you've got an admin menu. And notice you're an admin. Okay? Those are 2 important things to notice. So I'm going to refresh this screen. And so up here you'll see 13 bytes of 5 gig storage. Your company quota 50 gigabytes. So already this is different to backup land. I've got a company quota, and I've got my account, and I've got usage. And this was actually Jason Thayer's idea. Terrific idea, Jason. Thanks for the suggestion. You can see now I've got a folder in here. I'm going to create another folder and just call it web folder. And this will work in any browser on any platform. Click into web folder. I'm going to drag a Windows window across here, and I'm going to grab this file. and I'm just going to drop it on the drag and drop section up the top here. And just like that, it's magically in the cloud, which I think is pretty freaking cool. I can now do a bunch of things on this file, right? So I can click into this file, and the preview engine's going to kick in to start with. There's a simple text file that's not particularly impressive. Try it with a Photoshop file. Try it with an AutoCAD file. Try it with PDFs, PowerPoints. It's pretty cool. I'm now in file view where I can do a variety of things. I can preview it. This will work if Flash isn't installed. So Flash installed will give you a very powerful Flash viewer that lets you go full page, zoom in, search, multi-page view. You can go open a new window. If Flash isn't there, it'll degrade gracefully. It'll try Silverlight, and then it'll finally... Oh, we got a comment here that Greg's lost audio. Can everybody else still hear me? Okay, great. So where was I? I lost my train of thought. Oh, it'll degrade gracefully to images. So if you're on your phone, as an example, previewing will still work even if it doesn't have Flash. It'll just render the preview for you as a PNG, which is, again, pretty freaking cool. I can do a bunch of things on a file. I can comment, which is useful. I can update it. Let's go ahead and let's edit this file. So with a whole bunch of pre-baked content, I can actually do in-cloud editing. So let's just go here and go in-cloud edit. So all of a sudden, you're starting to see massive departure from backup land. The idea of letting somebody in to edit content in your backup is just antithetical to, to backup processes. But now you can see we modified it 4 seconds ago. Preview in. In a moment, we're going to see there's the in-cloud edit that we did. If we go up to our update stream, which is very Facebooky, we'll see that we uploaded it, and then we looked at it, and then we edited it. So this becomes really useful when you're collaborating with other folks. Let's go through and add in some other folks so we can see what that looks like. So Derek's the one who set this account up. I can add a new user. So up here you'll see you've got 25 seats, guys. Question here about versioning. Yep, keeps every single version. Ken Shaw.
And better than that, it actually audit tracks everything that changes. So if you have a user that you've collaborated with and they make a change into the cloud, whether it's they upload a new version or just do an in-cloud edit, you get a notification that somebody has modified some file. So it's absolutely perfect for making sure that you are working with people correctly and you know when they actually make a change.
Right, you can revert it. So if I don't like something that Derek did to one of my PowerPoint decks, I can revert the change and my master can remain the master. So let's go back to our users now and have a look. This company now has 2 users, Derek and Ken. Ken's got 5 gigs, Derek's got 5 gigs. I'm logged in as Derek. So if I go back to admin home, I'm going to see, I'm in files home. If I go back to files home, I'm going to see my account's 5 gigs or 50 gigs. And if I go back in here, you'll see I've used 2 of my 25 seats. Now this next feature is really cool. I can actually log in as Ken. So I can switch to that user, right? So if I'm the company admin and I've got other users, I can now log in and see what Ken sees. Now let's note a few things. Firstly, up the top here, I can resume my session and go back to being the admin. Secondly, you'll notice that he's got the empty screen. Ken's got the empty screen. This is confusing. I'm Ken and you're Derek. Yeah, it really should. So in my account, it's empty. In Derek's account, it's he's the admin. So I can now do stuff here, but let's go back and be Derek. So as Derek, let's go and share some stuff. So there's a couple of different ways to share, and you'll get this in the walkthrough, public shares and collaboration bonds or collaboration relationships. We haven't got a good name for it yet, but let's do a collaboration bond where we're going to share stuff between my account and his account. So whatever he changes, I get. Whatever I change, he gets. So go to the web folder, and I'm going to invite a collaborator. I want to give him read-write actions to this folder, and I can't remember what email address I used. I think I used can123. Okay. Now, if under collaborators now, we can have a look at pending invitations. And what we should see is I got a pending invitation to this chap, myself. Going back to list users, I'm going to drill in as Ken and switch to user. I'm just going to pause here because I did a lot. as Derek, I added a collaboration bond on a folder. So that's like a private in-cloud pairing between those things. And I did it with another user within my company. Then I went and logged in as that user. So up the top right here, that user, me, had a little notification saying, Derek is offering to sync a folder with you. So I'm going to accept this sync. And now, in Ken's account, where previously it was empty, it now says there's a folder. It's got little heads on it, which means that it's owned by somebody else. If I mouse over, you can see it was shared by Partner Webinar, updated 5 minutes ago. It's got one file on it. If I go back to Derek's view, we'll notice a few things. Test folder 1, yellow, I'm the owner. Web folder, yellow with heads, I'm collaborating, updated 5 minutes ago. So now whatever, okay, let's really make this graphical. I'm now going to throw some more content in this thing. I don't know what I'm putting in here, but
As Ken does that, there's a question about an HTML5 version. It's already ready. So if you open it up with Safari on your iPad, you'll get prompted to download an HTML5 version. And I've been using it on my iPad. You can do in-cloud edits. It's terrific.
And so in this folder, you can see on the right here who I'm collaborating with. I'm collaborating with Ken Shaw. I can right-click that and boot him out if I'd like, because that Ken guy's a questionable character. Well, back in the user list, again, just to beat a dead horse, I'm going to log back in as Ken. And remember that we just added a file. So Derek just added a file, but now I have that file, right? So it's cloud-to-cloud sync, not that tricky. It gets a bit more complicated when we introduce the desktop apps, because imagine the power of what we just saw, but then also having a desktop node where you can just drag and drop stuff and have it automatically go up to your cloud and then auto-propagate to other clouds if you've got collaboration bonds set up. Clayton's asking, so if a person shares a folder or file with me, it won't take space on my account. Correct, Clayton. Kyle says, can you prevent someone sharing a file from sharing it to someone else? Not currently, Kyle, but that's unfortunately, a problem with all document management systems. All right, so let's go back and let's have a look at the desktop app. Sorry, I was getting distracted by the questions, which is why we should do the questions at the end. So I've got this folder here called Test Folder 1. And no, everybody keep asking questions. We just won't necessarily answer them immediately, but please keep asking questions. So just bear with me one moment. All right. Oh, bugger. I'm going to change the screen I'm sharing for a moment. Okay, so the screen that I'm sharing should have changed. And you'll note here that there's a folder called Test Folder 1. And inside that folder is a single file. I'm going to bring my browser onto the screen so you can see what's going on. So you'll note in my cloud I've got a folder called Test Folder 1. And on my desktop, mouse is on the wrong screen. There we go. On my desktop, I've got a folder called Test Folder 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a file to this folder. And then you'll notice this little balloon tip. One file was uploaded in Test Folder 1. And I can actually, you'll see this icon here. I can double-click this guy, and I can get the full read on what's happening. One of the things that really ticks me off about Dropbox and Box.net and others is you can't get a full stream of what's happening, whereas Collaborate will actually give you an event stream file by file. You get that just by double-clicking the icon. Anyway, let's mosey on over to the cloud again and click into Test Folder. And you'll see now that that file was uploaded 24 seconds ago by me. Okay? So, we have the power of setting up sync relationships on a desktop, which allows us to move massive amounts of content to folders in the cloud. So you've got the benefit of the sort of the simplicity of a Dropbox style play here, but then all the power of a robust cloud system. Now there's right-click menu options. So on the right-click, you can do things like you can share the folder directly from your desktop. What else can I show you about sync? If you right-click the sync client and hit options, you'll see some stuff. So sync folders is a summary of all the stuff that's syncing. super important note, you can have as many as you like. So with Dropbox, you can have one. With us, you can have as many as you like. So you can see here, I'm syncing a folder called sync folder on my desktop to a remote path called sync folder. I'm syncing a folder on my desktop called test folder 1, and I'm syncing that to a remote folder called test folder 1. And I can have as many as I like, which is pretty cool. There's a whole bunch of other sort of powerful features in here. One of the things that will be useful during the beta is the application log. So when you're logging bugs and issues with the sync client, you've got to send us this. So click Save Log to Disk, stick it into info with debug mode, reproduce the crash, and send it to us. Clayton says, SugarSync, Box.net, Dropbox, Google Drive, all in one, plus some. Clayton, we're going to get a quote from you.
Yeah, can I use that? Can I have your permission right now, please?
All right, so I'm now just going to show off some other random features that you all are going to like. Incoming folders. Let's say you've got a client, and that client is a print shop, and that print shop wants to get stuff on their website from customers, but they don't have an FTP server, and they don't know how to set up a form fill. With incoming folders, you can create an incoming folder, and you can then select a place to put stuff. I'm going to put it in Derek's account. You can then say which folder I want stuff to come into. I'm going to put it into test folder 1. And then I'm going to click continue. And then I can click a form template. So I'm going to go as simple, and I can see a preview. And so this is going to give me a little HTML module that I can drop into my customer's website. And think of it as a file inbox. So here's the pitch. You sell them Collaborate. They're using Collaborate within the company. They love it. They want to start getting files from their customers. They don't know how. They create an incoming folder, or a file inbox, which is what we should probably rename it to. They put some simple JavaScript on their website, and boom, they've now got a form upload system that will dump content directly into their Collaborate account. Perfect if you're a law firm or an accounting firm that needs to take files. Or imagine you're a print shop and you want to be able to accept stuff from customers to print, or any other number of applications of the file inbox functionality.
For example, we actually use this with the partner delivery team, for those of you who've been around for a few years, when we used to actually receive vector file formats from our customers, and then we would do a design and a mock-up back and forth. We actually used Collaborate to accept those files. It notified the team that a file had been uploaded by the specific user that had uploaded it. We'd go in, grab it. We'd then submit a mock-up back to the customer through the approval drop-in, which I'm not sure if we're going to be showing today, but there's lots of different plugins in the system that are very helpful in any business model.
And we'll get Derek to run an advanced Collaborate training session, I think, probably next week. So keep your ear out for that. Bunch of reports built in, so you can build your own reports again. So we've learned a lot of lessons from, backup land. There's statistics built in. You can get individual user statistics. Frankly, just the admin home screen is pretty sick. So by default, it's going to give me my storage, my usage over time. But I can look at logins, and it'll auto-graph who's been logging in the most. I can look at top users, and it's perhaps there's an issue with the screen size. Make it bigger. If I had a penny.
You're to hear it, SOS, folks.
Yep.
How about that? Can you all see that now? Hopefully that is easier to see. Okay. So the default home screen, just for the admin, gives you a whole bunch of graphical interactions so that you can just see some very just interesting metadata about usage and users. Just right here from the graphical module on the home screen. And then, of course, there's a lot of other powerful features under the admin section. Note that your users don't have the admin section. Only the company admin has the section. So going all the way back to the polls we did earlier, most of you said you got 200 humans. So you're going to need 200 accounts. Most of you said you had, I didn't ask this today, but you usually say you've got between 50 and 100 business customers. So you're going to need 50 companies, 200 accounts. So each company will have an admin, and they can do everything we're doing here. So I think that's clear, but ask me questions about this. Does everybody get that every human gets an account, every company gets an admin account, and you get a reseller account sitting above that? Now for the beta, you're just evaluating it as a company admin. So there's a whole bunch of other functionality you're going to get as a reseller, and that's still coming. Okay, admin settings. There's all sorts of good stuff in here for you to play around with. LDAP configuration is probably one of the cooler ones. You can integrate this directly into Active Directory so that users you don't have to create a lot of user accounts, but under users there's this bulk add users form where you can very quickly hack out a bunch of usernames. So if I do this, right, you'll see that another one just drops down. So it's really easy to sit here and bang out 20 usernames. What else can I show you? Let's go back to files. There are public sharing options. So if we've got this folder here, you see this little share option. I can set up a public share. So I've now done that just by clicking it. This can be a little dangerous if not used properly. So with this URL now, I can get to this file. This is a permalink, right? So if you just gave this to somebody, they can get to this and they can get these files, they can download them and comment them. Now, if you want to add a little security, we can password protect that. So I'm going to set the password. Now back over here, when the user comes in, they've got to get a password. So you've got public sharing with passwords, or far more powerful is the actual collaboration relationships. And then I'm going to unshare, but I could also send links and I can invite collaborators. Collaborators is the best way to share stuff. Rob says, will this demo be available? Rob, you've got full product access as long as you're in the partner beta group. Or are you talking about the video of this webinar? Some other things to note. The applications here on the right-hand side, this is where you get the desktop app, the iPhone app, the Android app. For those apps, it's also under the More menu. If we look at the iPhone app, you'll notice that it just says, in your browser, go to this. If you do that on your iPhone, it'll ask you to install it on the desktop, and you can see a screenshot of what that looks like when you do it. We will have an App Store entry, but it won't be under the Collaborate brand because, to answer your branding questions, no, this won't be going out to market as SOS Collaborate. There'll be branding options for you, the partners. I mean, you can delete files, you can share files, you can preview files, you can edit files. I'm just going to log back in as me so you can see what it looks like when it's fully loaded.
Basically the longer beta for file storage and collaboration.
So you'll see here my usage pattern. So this admin section is a lot more interesting this way. This is my personal company account that I use, so I'm the main person logging in. And when you check out my files view, you'll notice that, well, for one, there's a lot more files. Some of them are private, some of them are shared. I myself set up a folder called Desktop Syncs, and then within Desktop Syncs, I've set up individual syncs, so I have 3 relationships set up on my computer. I just find that useful. And so what else is there to show? You can set your own avatar. You can also change the logo. Derek, what are some other features and functions we should talk about while we're in here? I think we've probably tackled most of them.
Most of them we have, edit your profile so you can, again, change your avatar, your name, and the email address. Really, the part that we probably didn't touch on most is when you add a collaborator versus just sharing. What's really nice is that, one, to answer another question, we don't have a limit on the number of share folders or collaborate folders you can have, which is a common limitation services put out. But when you add a collaborator, you're essentially, again, you're adding a user, so you have a nice upsell opportunity. So the more people use this, that 200 head count that we had on average before, all of a sudden grows to double that, triple that, because of the use of the service and just the nature of this type of program.
Right. Rob writes, with this, why the hell would any small business have an internal file server? Just saying. Rob, I'd love to get you a quote on that because I actually want to position this as file server as a service. Everyone talks about SaaS, and we've started talking about backup as a service. But this really is file server as a service. So as a little more ambitious goal, the death of file servers. Bruce Dean says, did you say it is possible to view specific files such as AutoCAD, etc., even if the user does not have the program on their computer? I.e., do you have viewers for a wide range of programs built into the system? Roger that, Bruce, we do. So let's see if I can find like a Photoshop file. So here's a Photoshop file. I'm in a browser. This will work on any platform. This will work on a mobile phone. I obviously don't have Photoshop running on my mobile phone, but I don't have it running here either. And I've had a crash. Well, that's embarrassing. 9 times out of 10, this would preview, and this is why we're doing the beta. But yes, we've got built-in previewing for about 1,000 different content types, including usually Photoshop files. Let's try an Excel file. Clayton asks, how far back with IE do you go? I think it's just IE 9 and 10, Clayton, but I'm not sure. That's a great question to ask in the forums. All right, the preview server is obviously having an issue right now. So do check out the preview system. This is important. If you get something like this, you've got to log a bug. So this is exactly the sort of thing that you should take a screenshot of, and you should log as a bug for us. Right now, Collaborate's only running on relatively thin infrastructure. It's not running on a full-blown production cluster the way it will be in real life. And so the preview server is probably overloaded right now, which is probably what happened there. But this is why we're running the beta, and this is why we've got to get you to log issues. Okay, so I think I'm going to stop now and just take questions and answers. Anybody who doesn't know how to get into the beta, you've got to get into the partner beta group first. So you've got to punch a support ticket saying, get me into the beta group, and you'll get put in. If anybody's unclear on that, please just ask questions and we'll answer them.
Russ has a really good question. Is there a list of compatible file types?
Russ, if you post that in the forum, there is. If you post that in the forums, the team will respond to your feature idea, and then we can turn it into a knowledge base article. Oh, that's worth pointing out. If we go back to the Collaborate 101, you'll notice also that knowledge base content. So there's actually a rich set of knowledge base content, pretty well organized right now. James wants to know, how do I get into the beta program? James, that is an excellent question. Let me show you. So I'm going to need an incognito browser.
No, you're not logged into this one.
I reckon I am. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So here's what you're going to do, James. You're going to go to SOS's support pages. You're going to click Submit a Request. You're going to put in your email address. You're going to say, add me to the partner beta group. Hi, can you please add me to the partner beta group? My company is Acme. And that's it. That's all you got to do.
So for those of you that aren't sure what URL you need to go to do this, it's just support.sosonlinebackup.com, and then you're going to click Submit the Ticket at the top of the page.
Fill it in. So I'm a partner. You're going to put in your partner username, product type, going to Collaborate, phone number, submit. And the team's going to add you in there.
We got a question from Jerry that I think we should probably go over. If someone is a collaborator with one company and is also collaborating with a second company, will they have 2 accounts or 1 account that accesses folders from both companies? I feel like that's one of those open-ended problem questions from math class in the 7th grade. But I believe...
Hang on, I'm trying to understand this now.
Yeah, I got to ask you. I got to read it again.
Jerry, you're a company and you got a folder, and you collaborated with company 1. Are you asking if you can then add in folks from company 2?
And will they have 2 accounts or just 1 account that accesses folders?
Generally speaking, I mean, if you're asking if you can share one folder with multiple people, absolutely. To set up collaboration relationships, everybody's got to have an account. So that could be an account under you or an account under somebody else. But you can share a file with, say, Derek right now. Derek's in the SOS enterprise, you're in your enterprise, but you can set up a collaboration bond.
One person gets 1 account no matter what company they are in. If you want them to actually be a collaborator, yes.
Yes, Kyle. The whole goal of this thing is to get every single human getting an account. If you guys roll this out and you use 1 account per company, the way you do with backup land, we will have ethically failed. And think about that. Think about the viral marketing potential of every person who wants to use this awesome product gets an account. That adds to your enterprise. Then they share with 10 people. Those 10 people add to your enterprise. They share with 10 people. They add to your enterprise. Very quickly, you're going to blow through 1,000 seats.
Yeah, so just as a strategy, it may not be the wisest to give everybody an account. Let's say that you have 200 accounts to give away, and I'm making stuff up here, so it's not necessarily how we're going to do it. But if you have 200 accounts to give away, and you give it to everyone, but you also want to seed these accounts and this licensing as a way to get more people interested without having to give away an account, then you need to be strategic about who you do give your accounts to. Because
that confused me, and I know what you're talking
sorry.
about. Give an account to every human in your downstream. You all said you had, most of you said you have 200 accounts and people in your downstream. Every one of them is going to have an account. Every company that you service will get a company accounts within that. You'll sit over the top of all that. Rob wants to know, what is the partner pricing? Rob, that's the million-dollar question. We're not ready to roll that out yet, but it'll be in the partner beta group forums as soon as we've got a straw man of it. Kyle writes, will AirPrint work from the Collaborate app? Kyle, not yet, but that's a great feature for you to suggest in the forums. Jerry, with your question, will you type it into the forums, bud, and I'll answer it myself later? I'm still not quite clear on the scenario, but we'll hash it out on the forums. And that brings us to the most important thing. The person who wins the iPad is actually not going to be drawn today. We're doing something a little bit different. The person who has the Collaborate feature that has garnered the most votes by the end of the week wins the iPad. So you've got to get into the forum, you've got to post features, and everybody's got to think it's cool and vote for it. So feel free to let the lobbying commence. And some of you have already posted features, so you've got a head start. But for everybody else to do that, go into the Partner Beta Group forums, go here to Collaborate feature requests and ideas. Oh, I'm winning. Excellent.
Another one.
Click Suggest an Idea and post your idea. And right now, Greg Meredith, although that's already been done, so I don't suppose that counts. And we're going to timestamp it. It's only going to be ideas created after this webinar. So don't worry, those folks have already got ideas in there, although we love them, aren't getting any head start.
I don't know. No one else has any votes, so I'd say to open it up. But yeah, let's get in there and start voting. You can't vote for yourself, unfortunately, but you can put in some items, and don't put in stupid things. So obviously, it's not going to get voted for.
Yeah, I mean, but look, this is a new thing we're trying, guys. I mean, what we're doing with the crowdsourced product roadmap, I really do think is cutting edge and excellent. And so it's a meritocracy. Let the best ideas win. Jason Thayer, who I can now see is on the webinar today, he had a great idea which we implemented straight away. So yeah, let's get the very best ideas from this group of IT professionals. And so that ends the formal part of the webinar, but we'll stick around for Q&A for those of you who are interested. And so yeah, ask us any and all questions. Otherwise, go and get into the partner beta group and get on the Collaborate beta.
I saw a good question from somebody earlier. They asked if they could automatically exclude files like MP3s and movies from being uploaded.
That's a good question. Let's have a look. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. Derek, do you?
I don't.
And I've lost my toolbar, which is pretty annoying. So to check that out, I would go to the sync client and go to meeting is giving me curry. All right.
There's another question about APIs for Collaborate. So yeah, those will be things that will come out over time. It's not something that we're going to release during the beta. So that would be.
But there's actually a very rich set of APIs. And yes, you can exclude both files and folders. So here under sync options, there's a list of files that can be auto-excluded and a list of folders that can be excluded. And to Derek's point, sorry to tramp on you there, Derek, there is actually a very rich API in the back end of Collaborate, and there's already a plugin system. So under plugins, you'll see a variety of plugins that are already available. One of the big things we want to do with the partner beta community is give you all access to the APIs and have you hack on the system to build out your own plugins. So this is that AutoCAD plugin. So the whole idea behind this will have a very rich library of plugins and even let you folks sell plugins to other partners or to their customers. So to actually create a marketplace around the API and the plugins. We'll be open sourcing the code to the plugins that we've already written. Jerry's saying Flash is going away. Adobe's already announced it. Jerry, I'm willing to bet you $100 that Flash is still the predominant rich media consumer in 5 years' time. But yes, it works with both Silverlight and it degrades to either JPEG or PNG. So none of the preview system is required to, none of it requires to use Flash. So it says I can't download it from my Nexus. Jerry, if you're Android, so there is no app to download. You just go to m.soscollaborate.com on your Android phone. It's possible we've got some glitches with Nexus. It works on all of our Android test devices and tablets. So, but if it isn't working on your Nexus, please log a bug. But Jerry, no, it'll degrade gracefully. You don't have to have Flash. Kyle writes, the company wants to share a file, too big for email, to one of their customers. The company has Collaborate sold to them by a partner. Does that lead the customer to us as a partner to get an account? How are they listed? As a user of the company sharing the file? No. You would go into your reseller portal, which you haven't seen yet, and you would sell them a company account with, say, 5 users and 50 gigs, and they would use that. So there's a whole reseller portal part to this that we haven't rolled out yet. Jason's saying his Nexus works well with Android SOS. Okay, thanks, Jason. Kyle is asking about individuals. Oh, Kyle, for individuals, there are just personal accounts that has no sub-accounting structure. It's just a standalone individual account that you might sell for $20 a year or something like that. Clayton says, since you might want to have MP3 shared at some point. I don't quite follow that, Clayton.
Is there a way to only remove those files that sync in certain folders?
Is there a way to only remove? Oh, I think I get what I'm saying. So Clayton, there's functionality in the client that lets you do a client-side global exclude. So I can be like, do not sync MP3s, do not sync this folder. But I can't do it on a folder-by-folder basis. Darren asks, is there any copyright management in Collaborate? Darren, there isn't, but I'm curious to know what you're talking about. Describe for me some of the features, like the types of user stories or features you'd be thinking of. Running low on questions. David writes, in cloud, is Cloud Edit supported for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. from Safari on iPad? Yes. It may be a little bit glitchy at this point, but yes. Russ writes, LOL, we're adding feature requests.
So that's why there aren't any questions, because you're busy writing feature requests. Well, that's good.
David writes, how does it compare with Citrix ShareFile? David, we're working on some competitive comparisons. I personally think it's far more powerful than ShareFile myself, but you know, I'm a little bit biased. But we're going to have some feature comparisons out soon with Huddle, Box.net, Dropbox, ShareFile, anything else Sharon thinks of. Jason Wright, I had licensing questions, but I think you covered it already when I was out. Jason, I doubt we did. Ask the question, bud. Mike's hoarding ideas for the forums. Darren writes, is there any way to inform users of copyright restrictions? Darren, that's a good suggestion. Why don't you post that as an idea? It'd be much easier to inform about copyright restrictions. Enforcing copyright's pretty darn impossible without leveraging a DRM framework, which we're not going to do. It's just far too complicated across the array of platforms that this thing needs to work on. We'd be hamstringing the product right out of the gate. David writes, in the beginning, can we use SOS salespeople for sales calls? Of course, Dave. Jason Wright, I thought someone said it was totally separate from our existing SOS subscription. Bummer. Was hoping they would be connected. Jason, they're connected technologically. It uses the same account framework. We haven't finalized pricing, so the true answer right now is it's still in development. Feel free to give us your thoughts. Russ wrote, have you looked at the announced Salesforce tool? Russ, it's not available yet. I actually have seen it, and it's nowhere near as powerful as this. But it's coming from such a massive brand, I think it's going to be a real market force. Darren writes, will email be integrated to hold, will email be integrated to hold the entire conversation and Collaborate?
I think that's a real, I know what you're talking about, Darren. There are some solutions out there that do something like this. It's an excellent feature request. I certainly encourage you to put in the forum.
Yeah, will you get that punched and like draw my attention to it? Same thing. Will you get that
Yes.
video version? Draw my attention to it. Jason writes, how is it licensed? Unlimited user installs and we pay just for the space used. Jason, watch this space. Jason says, just like SOS Backup. Watch this space. Darren, question, will email be integrated to whole? Oh, right, got that. Kyle writes, do we have to sign up for the trial to test it? Maybe I'm missing something on Zendesk. You've got to get into the partner beta group. Once you're in there, just go to the Collaborate 101 article and follow the steps, Kyle. So this is the, oh, hang on, not that impressive if I get the wrong page. You want to get to a page that looks like this and then click on the Collaborate Beta 101. So to get here, you first got to get into the partner beta group, and that's just as simple as punching a support ticket and waiting for the support reps to add you in. Only take a few minutes. Dave Allen writes, release ETA, give or take 2 weeks. Dave, I think that's a bit ambitious. I think it's going to be at least 4 weeks. But the announcements will, you guessed it, be on the Collaborate 101 article. Buddy writes, so if I create a folder that I want to share with an outside user, that user needs an account, correct? Buddy, not strictly, no. That you can just use a public share. And you saw me do that and then add a password to it. And if you would go through the product walkthrough, you get a good sort of summary of how to do that. However, we would recommend that you invite them as a collaborator so they get an account, so you get the benefit of the viral spread of the product. Kyle asks, how many Kyles are there present? Kyle, at least 2. Dave, okay, actually fell across 3 companies looking for this. They are looking at others, thanks. Well, Dave, give them a call and get them looking at this. And bring them into us. Like, we'll figure out a way to get them into the beta and help you get those sales so you don't lose the revenue. Jason writes, ignore this, we covered it earlier, but I'm going to say it anyway. Would we sell clients both backup and collaborate? Jason, absolutely. Dave writes, it's too SOS branded to take it to them right now. Yeah, fair call, Dave. Jerry writes, when the beta account ends and goes live, can we blow up all users for our real account and start over? You can, Jerry. Our plan was just to give it to you, just let you have it for free for participating in the beta, but I'm sure we can work something out. Simon writes, I've got a council in London interested in 1,250 users. Simon, you should get in touch with Shaylin and figure out a way to join approach them. And of course, that would be done under your brand, your name, your sale. We're just here to help. All right. We'll wrap it up there, guys. Thanks very much for your participation today. Appreciate your comments. If you want to email me or get on the forums, hopefully we're going to see a lot of you on the forums. I think this is a good webinar. Really appreciate your time. Have a tremendous day.
Thank you.
Thank you.